Do you see that number 27 is giving us some kind of vague information? Well, let's dig in. A vector has vertical and horizontal components of -3 and 4, but it is not known which is the x component, which is the y component. Bummer. Name the angle measure this vector could possibly have. Explain your answer. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to sketch it both ways. So let's start by assigning, let's call this one x and this one y, sketch that, and then we'll go to the next one, okay? So if we know that x is -3, y is 4, that's going to put us up here somewhere, okay? Remember, we always build the right triangles off of the x-axis. And it's the vectors, right? So we've got this kind of idea going on here. And we need to name this angle measure, okay? So, and technically, we need to name this, once we know this angle measure, it's actually this angle measure that we're going to need to name, because we always measure it from the zero degrees, and we start in the first quadrant. So knowing what this angle measure is will get us into the second quadrant, which is where this xy component will be. So if this is -3 and this is 4, which trig function can we use? Well, looks like we can use the tangent. So we have the inverse tangent of 4/3, -4/3, right? Because it's 4/3 equals theta. So if you enter this into your calculator, you should end up with 53.13 degrees, okay? So this angle measure right here, and I'll just write this down here, 53.13 degrees, all right? So how do you find out what this angle measure is? Well, you take 180 minus 53.13. Not too tricky, is it? Okay, so that means that this one possible answer is 126.87 degrees. That's one of the vectors, okay? Name the angle measure. Now, fortunately, we didn't have to give the magnitude of the vector, although that would be super easy to do because you see it's a 3, 4, 5 triangle. All right, so let's move to the next one. This time, let's call this y and this x. All right, so if we do that, then we have to go over to the right 4 and down 3. All right, but again, you see that we're building the triangle off of the x-axis. Important distinctions here to be made, 4 and -3. So we need to find this angle measure. So this time we'll have the inverse tangent, obviously, because we're trying to find the angle measure of the opposite, which is -3/4. And that angle, if you enter that into your calculator, I believe you should end up with 36 degrees. 36 degrees is not the right answer, though, because that just tells us what this angle is right here. To get to this correct location, in other words, to have a degree measure that takes us to the right quadrant, we would have to go all the way around here, okay? So that means we take 360 minus 36 degrees, which gives us 324 degrees, okay? Because remember, this is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So the 0 degree always starts here in the first quadrant and makes its way around all the way to 360 degrees. All right, so that's getting into some really intro to trigonometry stuff, which is my favorite branch of mathematics.